With Billy Donovan stepping down as the head coach of the Chicago Bulls, do the Bulls finally have a bright future ahead of them? I'm going to be talking about that along with the NFL draft and some NHL playoff stuff right after the intro. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Talk with JWock. This is podcast number 94, and I am so excited to be able to continue to get closer and closer to podcast number 100. Once again, if you have any ideas of how I should make that episode, since that's going to be a pretty big episode, let me know down below. But like you heard from the intro, we're going to be talking about some NBA news, especially with the playoffs going down. We're also going to be talking about the NFL draft. It's draft week. It's an exciting time. As I'm recording this on Wednesday, April 22nd, the draft is actually tomorrow. So by the time you're watching this, or by the time the video comes out at least, we will be on day 3 of the NFL draft, where we'll be able to see how rounds 4 through 7 go. So that's going to be exciting. And then we're also going to be doing a little bit of NHL talk, where the playoffs have officially begun. And you know what? Let's start with the NHL, where essentially the playoffs have begun. We've seen the matchups go down. They've basically started when the NBA playoffs started. And the NHL, in my opinion, has one of the most unique playoff formats out there. And I'm just going to read the first round matchups. It's just really weird. It's a really weird format. So basically, here's like some of the key aspects. This is just off of Google. I'm just basically giving you the information of how the playoffs work, because I'm still kind of confused on it myself. So for the qualification part, it's the top 3 teams from each of the 4 divisions in the Atlantic, Metropolitan, Central, and Pacific. So the top 3 teams from each of those 4 divisions automatically qualify. And then there's wild cards, where the next 2 highest placed teams in each conference, regardless of division, secure the wild card spots. So that makes sense. It's, if you're the top 3 teams from each of your 4 divisions, you're in. And then obviously, outside of that, afterwards, it's just the top 2 teams from the respected, from each conference will make the playoffs, as well as the quote-unquote wild card, kind of like the play-in tournament in the NBA, if that makes sense. So here's how the first round matchups go. And by the way, if you're not really understanding what I'm saying right now, that's totally fine, because I'm going to be honest with you, I partially don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm learning just as much as you are. But the first round matchups go: the divisional winner with the best record in the conference play. The divisional winner with the best record in the conference plays the lower ranked wild cards. Basically, the best team in the conference will play the lowest wild card ranked team. Makes sense. It's like in the NBA terms, a 1 versus 8. And then the other divisional winner plays the higher ranked wild card. So it's already confusing to me, but then the number 2 and number 3 teams in each division play each other. So you're already getting just giants and clashing against each other in the first round. In my opinion, the format is just used really weirdly in the NHL. I think they need to just go 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, and then 4-5 matchups. In my opinion, I just think it's too confusing how they're doing it. I think that 1-8, 2-7, 3-6 type of format is much, much simpler and much, much more organized. It gets the best out of teams, because there's still upsets, but it also, later on, as you get further along in the playoffs, have much better matchups going into, like the conference finals and even the finals. With this format in the NHL, some of these worst teams might get a little further than they probably should, because you're having 2 really good teams. Like, for example, the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild right now are matching up in the first round. Whoever wins that matchup then goes on to play either the Avalanche or the Kings in the second round. To me, it's like those two, the Wild and the Stars, should not be facing off first off in the first round, because those 2 teams are unbelievable and could definitely make a chance, or could go for a chance to win the the NHL finals. And then they have to play either the Avalanche or the Kings, most likely the Avalanche, in the second round. It's like you're already getting some heavy hitters already off the board, especially in the Western Conference for the NHL. And it's the same thing for the Eastern Conference, but it's just so weird how that works, how the NHL works that way. Let me know, do you guys like the format if you're a hockey fan, obviously? If you're not, obviously most of you probably don't care, but it's just an interesting format. I think they should move to the other format. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on the NHL, and that's kind of all I wanted to talk about in the NHL because I don't have much else to say. Let's get into some NFL talk. I know these last few weeks, we weren't really talking about the NFL. I still don't have a ton. I'm not going to lie. I've been kind of out of the picture for the NFL since free agency ended, or it hasn't ended, but it's really died down. Like, we won't be seeing free agents sign until later on, maybe even at the start of training camp, to be brutally honest with you, just because teams are really focused on the draft now, getting those positional needs. And then if they can't fill that positional need, maybe they'll relook into free agency again in some of those free agents, especially since there's still some really good players in free agency. But the NFL draft is honestly amazing, and I love any draft, like the NFL draft, the NBA draft. They're all super fun to watch because you get to watch these young men's dreams come true as they are able to get their name called by an NFL team selecting them. They get the call from the head coach and the GM, where they're going to be able to essentially go, hey, I get a chance to play on an NFL team and be on an NFL roster, which is something they probably dreamed about as kids. And what's cool as well is, like, especially in the NFL, considering the fact that there are much bigger rosters, 53-man rosters, along with the practice squad, there's a lot of players that get drafted that people might have not even known. Like, for example, my Denver Broncos, Quinn Miners. If you guys know Quinn Miners, the right guard of the Denver Broncos, one of the best guards in the NFL, one of the highest paid guards in the NFL, got drafted from a Division III school, the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, or UW-Whitewater. That was a Division III school. He got drafted in round number 3. I remember literally sitting on my couch on draft day 2, so it was on a Friday, and I saw that the Denver Broncos selected Quinn Miners. I was watching, like in the videos and stuff, they show like little highlight reels of them. He was literally pushing down trees. Like, I was like, this kid's going to be special, but like nobody would have known about him because he's a Division III player. But anyways, that's just kind of a cool thing that I just kind of wanted to mention, and I just thought it was really cool. But anyways, that's kind of all I have to talk about NFL right now. We'll maybe do some more in-depth stuff next week with how the draft went, especially. But right now, like I said, I'm kind of like way tuned out of the NFL. That's honestly my bad. I wanted to do a mock draft, but I did not do enough research. So I didn't want to make like a horrible mock draft. Maybe I'll still try to get one out on social media like Thursday afternoon or something before the first round. But we'll see about that. I'm not guaranteeing that. But anyways, let's get on to the big topic. Let's talk about the NBA, where the playoffs have begun. And then we also have some coaching situation going on, especially with the team that I support, the Chicago Bulls, or sometimes it's hard to do that. But anyways, first off, the NBA playoffs have started off, and it has been an incredible start to the NBA playoffs because right now, there's only 2 teams right now that are currently on track to possibly sweeping a team. Actually 3, technically, but I don't think it's going to happen. The Lakers have a 2-0 lead over the Rockets. That honestly is a surprise to me, considering the fact that the Lakers are without Luka and Austin Reeves. The Rockets, in my opinion, were not very impressive, and I knew that they weren't going to be that good going into the playoffs, but I did not expect it to look like this so far. Hopefully they can bounce back. And then the Thunder are like the other team that possibly could sweep the Suns, and I think they probably will, unless the Suns maybe go to like win one of those games and take it to 5 games. Like maybe Dylan Brooks goes off for like 40 points randomly or something. But it's been interesting. I mean, yesterday we saw the Trailblazers, the number 7 seed, take down the Spurs, which, by the way, Victor Wembanyama definitely has some injury scares as he went out for the rest of the game with under concussion protocol. They are hopeful that he will travel to Game 3, so that's good for the Spurs. If you're a Spurs fan, that's good news. But it's definitely interesting to see Portland take that leap. Scoot Henderson, all the doubters, man, I tell you what, you gave up on him way too early. This is literally year number 3 for him, and he is starting to ball out. He's been healthy, and it's been fun to watch. Scoot Henderson, remember that name. I'm telling you right now, he could be a stud in the upcoming years. But we also saw Philadelphia take a game from Boston in Boston. So now that series is tied 1-1. Minnesota takes a game in Denver. Now that series is tied 1-1. That's probably the best series in the first round so far. The Hawks, CJ McCollum balling out for, I think, 32 points. Take a game in New York. That series is tied 1-1. Cleveland, I forgot, they're leading 2-0. They're probably going to sweep the Raptors. I don't think the Raptors really have a chance. The Cavs look good. But here's the biggest shocker. Detroit loses game 1 to the Orlando Magic. And here's the shocking part. The Pistons had nobody to help Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham had 39 points. The second leading scorer was Tobias Harris with 17 points. Outside of that, no other players hit double-digit points. The closest was Duncan Robinson with 9, Jalen Duren with 8, and Asar Thompson with 8. Everyone else was just kind of terrible. So, Detroit, get it together. Cade Cunningham needs help, and he needs help fast. But anyways, that's kind of how the playoffs have gone. I think it's been pretty incredible. I think these series could all go to like 6 or 7 games, to be honest with you. So, things are going to get real interesting in that. But the main topic I want to talk about today revolves around my Chicago Bulls, where Billy Donovan, we got the news on Tuesday, April 21st, that Billy Donovan will be stepping down as a head coach. He will no longer be a part of the organization, and the Bulls now have to look for a new basketball or president of basketball operations, a new GM, and a head coach, and possibly more assistant coaches when the new GM comes in. I would assume he'd probably try to clean up the coaching staff even more. Things are definitely going to get interesting with the Chicago Bulls. It already has. This is a move that I wanted to happen for like 3 years now with Billy Donovan going away. He's a Hall of Fame level coach in college basketball, but in the NBA, he's been very average. He's not been able to really do much, in my opinion, with the Chicago Bulls. He gets outcoached all the time. And honestly, he just really didn't have the best rotations either. And the problem with him is just like, I don't understand. I can't comprehend what he was doing, like, necessarily. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, Billy Donovan really frustrated me. I was watching those games, and it's just like my blood pressure was like going through the roof watching the Bulls because of Billy Donovan's rotations and lack of playing the young players when the Bulls are clearly trying to go younger and develop. And it's like, you didn't do that at all. But anyways, I'm happy he's gone. Things are going to get interesting in Chicago. But now that Billy Donovan's gone, now's a good opportunity to look ahead at some possible coaching options to replace Billy Donovan. So the first name and the name that I personally really want is Sam Cassell, who's currently the Celtics assistant coach. He's been an assistant coach his whole career as a coach. He also played in the NBA previously. I believe in like 2008 he retired or something like that. I can't remember if that's true or not, but Sam Cassell, in my opinion, is the best option. He's a guy that has been around the coaching world for multiple years now. He's also a former player. I personally think he would be a great head coach, and he's really helped the Celtics out a ton. He was also the Clippers coach back when they were in the bubble, and the Clippers were really good back then. So I think Sam Cassell is a great option. And personally, why not maybe try to get like Chris Paul as an assistant coach, and then over time, like Chris Paul maybe become the head coach? That'd be kind of cool. But Sam Cassell would definitely be my favorite option for that job. Taylor Jenkins, also another coaching option. He was the former Grizzlies head coach. He was also an assistant coach for multiple years before that. Taylor Jenkins is a great coach. I think he's a great option. He really utilizes his weapons well, even if it's not the craziest amount of talent. Taylor Jenkins was one of the main reasons why the Grizzlies were good a couple years back, and one of the main reasons why we thought the Grizzlies were going to be possibly a team that could be in the Western Conference Finals, 3 years ago or something like that. So Taylor Jenkins, definitely an option. Probably not my favorite. I think Taylor Jenkins also is an option for the Bucks. He could be an interesting one for them, but Taylor Jenkins definitely should be worth considering. And then the other one I would say is John Shire. I don't think this is very realistic. He's currently the Duke head coach. John Shire, an Illinois native, it would be kind of cool for him to come to Chicago, coach up this team. I think he's a great coach. I think he's great being able to communicate with the younger players. He's also good at getting the best out of players. But once again, I just don't see him leaving a program like Duke unless Chicago offers him a ton of money, and that's just like maybe something he won't pass up on. But college coaches coming up to the NBA is always definitely a hurdle, and is definitely a high risk for sure. But let me know, do you think John Shire would accept this job or go up to the NBA if he gets offered the proper job? Let me know down below. And then the final coach, this would be kind of more of like a feel-good story, but like Steve Kerr, who's currently the Warriors head coach, there's been many reports that he possibly could be stepping down as the Warriors coach and either retiring or moving on to a different team. I personally don't like the Steve Kerr move. I know it's just been rumored. That's why I put it on here. Steve Kerr to me is a player or is a coach that, in my opinion, is just not the greatest at developing players recently. Like, we look at his recent draft picks. I mean, you've got Moses Moody, Kuminga, James Wiseman. I think Podziemski is starting to pan out, but like at the same time, it's like it could be better. It's still very underwhelming in my opinion. And for the Bulls team, where they have a bunch of young players that need development, Steve Kerr's probably not the man for the job. But let me know down below who's a good coaching option for the Chicago Bulls. Anyways, that's going to be the end of podcast number 94 of Sports Talk with JWock. Once again, thank you guys so much for the support. You guys were so great on my last episode. I hope you liked this episode just as much, if not more. But next episode, we're going to podcast number 95. I love that number 95. If you know, you know. But yeah, we're going to be going on to podcast number 95. We might have some special topics. I'm also going to be trying to add a random sport that might be really weird for some people, but some people might really like it. We're going to debate as to whether or not it's a sport. I'm going to try to find a really random sport. So let me know down below if you have an idea of a random sport that you would want me to talk about in future episodes. But you can check me out on all social media platforms down below in the description. Instagram and Facebook are the main ones where you could get news updates. You could also get just like my personal mock drafts. You can also get just news or anything like that. Check me out on those. I do have my X account that you can follow if you'd like. I don't post much on that at all. So to be honest with you, if you were to not follow one, maybe not that one. But anyways, you can check me out on all social media platforms. You could also like, subscribe, and share the video and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And I hope you all have an amazing week. God bless.